Did you feel like that was on display for your group today?
Yeah, for sure. It was a hell of a hockey game, I think, for both teams. Just a grindy game. Some good looks on both sides. Obviously, they're a handful over there, and have some guys that are really hard to play against. But it's there's a lot of things that we can look forward to build on going into tomorrow. And like I said, sometimes you lose, you don't feel good about it. There's other times you don't get the result, but you can feel good and sleep tonight knowing that we played a pretty good hockey game. So.
What did you do well defensively to contain them the way that you did?
Well, most of it's before you get to the offensive zone, really. It's, making them grind in below their own hash marks and not giving them easy offense and not turning the puck over. They're going to get looks. We got a couple of shifts against them today where we had minute-long zone shifts and they still have energy to go 2-on-2. Like, there's not much you can do about that, but you have to make them do that. Make them defend first. Try to avoid easy offense for them.
What have you guys been seeing on the 6-on-5? Obviously, you got two goals in 2 games on that.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple recipe. I mean, really, they pressure very hard when they're down a man. They have a lot of really good skaters, so we just get the puck to the net. Hopefully, while they're, leaving to put pressure, we can put the puck past them and try to get underneath. And we had a number of good looks right there. So, it's been working, but it's not really too fancy. Typically, it's just kind of shoot the puck and hopefully it goes off something that goes in. That was a hell of a shot by Brent.
Do you get some confidence from that, knowing when you guys go 6-on-5? You've got options. There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, we'd like to not be in that situation, obviously, but we do have a lot of faith in guys to step up and do their job, and I think tonight was another example.
We've just had a consistent effort, giving ourselves a chance to win every night. I think sometimes throughout a season you'll have bad games, but if you can give a good effort, give a good, everyone locked in and have a good work ethic, I think you can give yourselves a chance. And I think we were engaged tonight, and we gave ourselves an opportunity in overtime. It just didn't happen for us.
What are the little things that you've done well that have kind of led to that consistency?
As a team, I think just details of our game. I think Sully kind of preaches defense is our best offense. So if we can, shut down them, and that leads to our offensive game, not trying to force too much. At the blue lines, making good plays, and when we're playing the O-zone, it's a lot of fun. You don't want to play defense, so I think we've been doing a lot of that.
Connor, sorry to ask about this, but just for you being able to come through in that situation, I know you guys don't ultimately get the result you want, but it's been a little while for you. I think it was April 24 since your last NHL goal. So what's the feeling like that for you to get in that spot?
That's probably April 24th, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
So, it's just, it's been I feel like I've been getting a lot of good chances, and throughout this year, it's a relief to get one. Hopefully, I can build off that, but to contribute to the team and help the team gain a point, I think is really important. So, like I said, hopefully I can continue to do that.
Yeah, I thought we played a good game. I thought it was a really good hockey game. I thought our team played hard. I thought we were competitive all night. Obviously, we're playing against one of the better teams in the league. I just thought it was a really good game.
You elevated Sheary to that top line for his goal today. Just what you think of his effort, maybe just leading up to this game?
Yeah, I think that the element that he brings to those guys can help them. I think one of his best attributes is just his ability to get in on the forecheck. He's got a great stick. He's quick. He knocks a lot of pucks down. He creates a lot of opportunity, turnovers, stalled pucks, things of that nature. And he thinks it pretty good, sees it pretty good. So that for me is one of his biggest attributes. I think Conor's done a lot of really good things for us this year. The only thing that's been missing is just the finish. So I'm hoping this goal he gets tonight will give him a boost of confidence. And he has shown an ability to score in this league in a number of different places. And so if he can chip in a little bit with a goal here and there for us, it certainly helps us with all the other things that he brings to the table. But when he plays with JT and Troch in particular, if we're going to move a guy like Will Cooley into the third line and play with lobs, then we were moving different people into the top six to see what we could get. We've had Johnny Brodzinski there, we've had Connor there, we've had different people there just to try to see what we could get, and so we made that switch a couple of games ago, and based on what we watched, with all four lines, not just that line, we think it's been effective for us.
Mike, it seems like that line plus the Gavrikov-Schneider pair was the preference for you to have out there against the MacKinnon line. So just curious why you like that matchup and how you thought they handled it.
Yeah, that's good observation by you. Because we think, like JT and Troach in particular, those two guys, they have a 200-foot game. MacKinnon is a handful, and he's big and he's strong and he's powerful. And, JT is big and strong and powerful also. And so we just felt, it gives us the best chance to try to neutralize, one of the more dynamic players in the league. He's going to get some looks. He's too talented, but I thought those guys did a great job against him most of the night. He obviously scores the OT winner, but most of the night those guys did a real good job. They had a fair amount of offensive zone time, forcing them to have to defend, and I think that that's a great form of defense is just possessing the puck in the offensive zone. And I thought Troach's line had a handful of a number of different shifts throughout the course of the game where they were possessing the puck in the O zone, and they had some pretty good looks themselves. JT rolls around a pick and roll in the second period, I think, and gets a great look from the slot. I think it hit the knob of the goalie's stick. That's just one example, but I thought that line was really good. I thought this was one of JT's strongest games of the year.
I was going to ask about him. I mean, it looked like he had a lot of juice from the start. Do you think even like having that assignment, that's one of the things that maybe gets him a little more amped up?
Yeah, I think it does. I think those guys, those guys take those challenges. They embrace those. I think they're competitive guys, and so when you give them a challenge like that, they tend to elevate their games. JT's one of those guys.
And how about Schneider so far? I mean, that's I know he's had some more minutes than maybe he has in the past this season, but this is obviously a step up in competition. How do you think he's handled it?
I thought Schneider's played pretty well. As I said, those guys are MacKinnon and his line. They're one of the better lines in the league. MacKinnon's one of the best players in the league. And Makar's playing behind him all night long. On top of it, they're not easy to play against, those guys. And I thought Schneider and Vladdy did a real good job defending hard, controlling our net front. I thought they had good sticks off the rushes, just trying to defend the rushes aggressively. And then when we had some O-zone time, they were active off the offensive blue line, helping us with that possession game.
What's the 6-on-5?
Yeah. 2 6-on-5 goals for the group now. Just what have you liked about the way the team has attacked that situation lately?
I think they're doing a great job. They're buying into the structure. They're executing. They're making good plays. They're getting pucks to the net. One of the things I thought earlier in the year was, 6-on-5, we're trying to pass it in the net, and it's hard when you look at 6-on-5 goals. Just by nature of the amount of bodies on the ice, a lot of it is just funneling pucks to the net and trying to outnumber in and around the net, having traffic at the net, and you may get a deflection, you may get a rebound opportunity, or you get one of those sifters from the blue line that the goalie has a hard time finding it because of the traffic at the net front. Those are the way 6-on-5 goals are scored in my view. So we were trying to encourage them to put more pucks in play, create those broken plays. Let's get numbers around the net, and let's try to win pucks and then create off the shot, so to speak. And I think they're buying into that.
Mike, it seems like Scott Morrow is starting to earn your trust a little bit more and more each game. You had him out there in OT today, but is there still something that you need to see from him before you maybe give him an opportunity on that first power play unit with how things have looked lately?
Yeah, we really like Scotty's game. He's learning on the job, so to speak. And what better way than experiential learning? And so he's a young defenseman. It's not an easy position to play in this league, and we think he's doing a really good job. What we like about his game is, he has good poise with the puck. He sees it pretty well. He can make outlet passes. He can join the rush. He's got a pretty decent shot from the blue line. It isn't something that we haven't already considered, and whether we use him with the first power play unit, and that's something that we'll continue to talk about. We've made a decision to go with 5 forwards at this point, but we know that he would be more than likely, if we were to use a defenseman, he would be the guy because of the instincts that he has. And we'll continue to talk about that moving forward, whether we make adjustments or not. I don't know yet. I still got to digest this one. I thought the first power play tonight, I thought that they were great. They had a lot of really good looks. Will Cooley on the back door hits the post. that was a pretty good power play when you look at it. The one we get in the third period, not so much. But I just think that's the nature of the power play. If you're 30%, you're at the top of the league. If you score 3 out of 10, you're at the top of the league. That's just the nature of power play. So I don't want to overreact because we struggle on one particular power play in the third period. When you look at the body of work or the big picture, those guys have done a lot of really good things. And the other aspect of it is there's a little bit of a learning curve there too that we have to allow to take place. Where my experience has been when you deal with players, like Brett, for example, who's an elite player. If he's going to learn through that experience, and he's a fast study because of his talent and his hockey IQ and things of that nature. So, and I think that's always the art of coaching, right? Is when to make a change, when to stay with it, and allow them to play through certain things, and that's just a feel thing. Our coaches, we talk about this stuff daily, and we'll continue to talk about it moving forward. But we recognize that Scotty is a guy that we could plug in there, and there isn't anything that he can or that he hasn't done or needs to do in order for us to make that decision. I just think, we're trying to figure out what group of 5 gives us the best chance to have success. We chose to go with the group we have right now with the 5 forwards. We'll see where it goes, but that is certainly an option.